Hello all. I just wanted to do a voiceover, show off what I was doing here. First things first is I drew some concept off screen. So, my first inspiration for this piece was watching Pokémon Concierge, and they had a Graveler on screen. I thought he looked super cute, and then I was thinking about the evolution, and I'm like, damn, they took his arms away. So I dreamt up what it could be if they kept his arms. Anyways, the first little bit there was me cutting it out in Photoshop so I can get it in Blender. Next steps here is basic block modeling, basic block out. I'm going to do a block out for the whole character, and then it'll be sculpting from there on. Just very, very basic forms. You don't want to get too complicated too quick. As soon as you get into the weeds, you start really getting lost and not being able to move very quickly. I tried to duplicate the arms there, and it just wasn't going to work for me, so I'm just going to remodel them. Going for the little fingies, making a fist. And I'm keeping things separate here because I know it's going to be rocks later. I'm going to do this base here, and then I'm going to turn it into a sculpt. So whenever that ends up happening, I'll be able to bring it into sculpt mode and break it up and block it out. Again, I'm just working on form here. This next bit I started working on the head. The inspiration for that, I don't know, it was just Graveler. I saw Pokémon Concierge and just really loved their little Graveler, and this is what got me going on this little concept here. What was I doing there? Oh yeah, I was trying to figure out like how I could do the rocks. I had the loose idea of I wanted to make Graveler, and I had no idea the texture treatment. I knew I wanted to sculpt some rocks. I didn't know how detailed I wanted it to come out to be. But using Blender's dynamic topology, oh no, I didn't turn on Dintopo yet. There's a dynamic topology option I might turn on at some point during this sculpt, but we'll get there when we get there. Right now, again, we're just roughing out the basic forms. Got the first arm done. I think we're going in the back. One trick I really like to do with modeling is when I've got a low poly model going on, you can actually go into sculpt mode and move it around much quicker than when you're in edit mode. Flipping back and forth between sculpting and modeling is something that's really been a part of my workflow. One thing I will say about this model, a little disclaimer here, is I did I didn't even do any retopology. This would not be a game-ready asset. I just wanted to make some cool art. If you want to see some other good topology, I've got other stuff on my art station, but that wasn't the purpose of this guy. I wanted to make a cool render. I didn't even think that I was going to animate this guy, but I guess I couldn't help myself. Anyways, so there's a character in Rivals of Aether that's got a nice carapace on the back of him that I sort of copied a little bit of to come up with this design, giving him an exterior shell of rock with other rock under it. I tried to go a lot more flat and basic with the rock underneath to signify two different types of stone. One that would be a little harder on the back, and something that would be a little more exposed on the belly. I'm not going to say softer because it's rock. Just refining form. The couple brushes I'm ending up using here is the scrape brush, which I think is the dam standard in ZBrush, and then the crease brush, which I don't know what that is in ZBrush, but anyways, I was messing with these feet here. Needed to have a little more topology to work with those, so I ended up moving on. Really tried to figure out how the best way to come up with these forms, and it really just was inflating, creasing, and using dam standard to get those hard edges. I ended up pinching a lot. I don't think I've turned on dynamic topology yet. That'll happen when I want more resolution. What I keep talking about, dynamic topology, it's a way of sculpting that allows you to dynamically create mesh on the fly, even if it isn't there. Generally what you'll do is you'll remesh your objects to a higher level of resolution and just work with that. And you can do that. Yeah, it looks like I've checked on dynamic topology because I just want to not be limited by what's there and just work with with the form rather than the vertices themselves. The vertices will come later, but yeah. So I don't know if I will be able to go into super depth of it later, but one thing I did with the shading of this guy is I did keep it really, really high poly, and I did that on purpose. It bit me in the ass later with some of the rendering and animating, just making it slow. But in having this many vertices, you can do something called, what do you even call it? Color weight painting? I'm not going to be able to remember it right now, but vertex painting, there we go. Vertex painting. And Blender has a built-in feature where you can basically bake a rough AO map. So I use that for the material for this guy quite a lot. Here you just see me messing with the face, refining, making some spikes, seeing if I can get it nice to blend in with the bottom of the body. I think I deviated from the concept a little bit here in the face, but I mean, as you do. It's interesting how much you can follow the concept, because some of my other pieces have followed the concept to the T, like exactly. The last one was a mimic that I did, and I really tried to exactly recreate what the concept was. And since this was my concept, I went a lot more loose with it and just let it take me places. There's a brush pack I downloaded here. I'll see if I can link that in the bio. This is when I started to get into the heavy refinement. You can see that there's a sharp detail now, and the dynamic topology is off. When you get this high in your poly count, just having dynamic topology on is too slow. So you'll get the desired amount of vertices you're working with, and then here again I'm working heavily with that pinch, not damn standard, but the pinch, scrape, crease, and there's a few rock texture brushes I'll be using eventually. Hands were a little bit of a weird consideration. I wanted to see how the fingers would actually move. I forget how I ended up with them. I think a non-physical way to do it is how I ended up doing it. Again, just pushing and pulling, refinement as goes. Anyways, I don't know if you guys saw Pokémon Concierge or not, but that was just a wonderful little celebration of Pokemon. I really haven't enjoyed any of the recent Pokemon games. There's so much hand-holding, it just hurts to play the game. Also, I emulated the old ones so much that I play them all at 2 speed, and it just hurts to play the new ones without that. But anyways, the Concierge, it was a little puppet animation, like claymation type thing, mixed with... It was a mixed media discipline. It had claymation, felt animation. The backgrounds were largely made with virtual setups, and they had a lot more to it. I feel like it also came out of nowhere. I guess I don't pay attention to the Pokemon universe, but it did what it did. It's fun. So something that I'm doing here, I sculpted the whole thing, the arms and everything, in a mirrored mode. Everything was going to be mirrored, but I really wanted the body not to be mirrored. I don't think anyone's really going to be able to tell the arm, without looking and without paying attention. The arms, you'd have to look to see that they're mirrored. But if you looked at the torso and you saw that the rock was just a flat mirror, I think that'd give it away really quickly. So I paid special attention on the back there to make sure that I sculpted the back in an asymmetrical way. Even though it was symmetrically built at its core, as are all animals, I guess, exterior-wise at least, I wanted the exterior to have imperfection. So what I did there, I just turned on some shading. There is, in the standard shading mode, you can turn on creasing, and shadows, and a few other things. And I just wanted to see what the forms were ending up looking like. This is me messing with some custom matte caps I've made over the years. There's a cel-shaded one there. Yeah, just testing some lighting, seeing how the eyes look. I started to rough out some materials so I could see how that ended up looking. I'm really big into toon style right now. So what you saw there was a little experiment in toon style. But so I set up my first basic material, and I think there we go. So what you just saw right there is I went to vertex paint mode, and up in the top there's a little drop down, and you can, under the paint menu, you can paint dirty normals or something like that, and it'll give you your AO map. That'll be baked into your color data, so you have that as an attribute now, and I think its default name is attribute, but anyways, you can plug that into your nodes to get ambient occlusion on a high poly model like this. So I set up the main texture, I set up some basic lighting. Yeah, you can see I just plugged that node into a color ramp there, to see if I can get some of the lighting going. This is where I struggle with what the background should look like. And in Blender 4.0 there's something called light linking, where lights can affect certain things and not other things. So I tried my best to see if I could get a little underglow. The reference that I was using for the lighting had a nice underglow. And if you put a light under an object, it's going to get blocked by that object. So now that you have light linking and a few other tricks, you can get light to cast through other objects and not affect other objects. So I was able to cast a light up from under him and a light down just so we get some bounce shadows. This is when I start getting more refined in the lighting. I threw some smoke in there. I think I used a Musgrave 3D texture just to get some smoke. The rocks weren't reading rocky enough, so I threw in two different noise textures. You'll see the second one in just a second, and mixed them. I wanted one of a higher size and one of a lower size, and to blend between them. And I played with the edge normals there, using that attribute for the painted dirty normals, and that ended up not working out in the very end. And then here's just me playing with a whole lot of lighting. I wanted to see if I could sculpt the ground, and Blender 4.0 really did not play well with a lot of what I was trying for. Blender's going for some new updates to make brushes more accessible, and it broke a lot of the old brushes in doing so. So I think I said screw it and just went with the noise texture on the ground. So one of my references also had some nice glowing particles. There's an option there in the particles menu that says don't show renderer, and it just doesn't work right now. I don't know if it's a bug or needs to get taken care of, but anyways, got some ambient particles going. Later I realized that looks really weird, where are they coming from? So I had to do a ground cracked texture. That was fun. I was messing in cycles. There's no such thing as bloom. So you kind of have to make it yourself. I think bloom looks good when used in moderation. It was a little blown out for a good long while I was messing with some of these test renders. Again, testing lighting. And Blender 4.0, you can see a circle off to the left there, right there specifically. In 4.0, they changed the way lights work, where it doesn't come from one specific source, it comes from a size. Like whatever scale that you set it from, it comes from a sphere, which is better and more physically accurate, but not what you want every time. 4.1 updated that to have a little checkbox where it can have a fall off from the center to the edge, so it acts like older Blender. I was getting those front-on renders and the lighting was looking really good, but the composition just didn't end up working out. It was a front view, and you got his two arms down and his two arms up in his face, and you didn't get any of the body. And I could have posed this all in pose mode, but I like practice rigging. I ended up making a super basic rig here. I didn't even plan on animating. I just planned on using this to pose him, but it ended up being serviceable enough that I could pop in a little animation. I went back and forth a lot just on posing here. It would have been cool if I would have set up a little camera in the bottom left just to see what I was doing the whole time. But hindsight is 2020. Also, I could have rigged the eyes, but I just figured it was going to be easier for me to use a shape key. So I separated out the eyes and made a shape key from the original pose of him looking forward to him looking sideways. Anyways, so what I did there to make that lava texture, the Voronoi is a texture that allows a bunch of different spheres in 3D space to form cracks, and then if you mess up the generated normals using a noise map, you can basically mess up the lines so you can get that cool lava texture on the ground. Here's me playing with a whole bunch of different lighting setups. Oh yeah, I tried throwing some lava cracks in the creases where all the rocks coming together, and that just didn't end up working out. It was blown out and just didn't look good. That would have had been manually hand authored, and I wasn't about that. I was ready to be done with this. Anyways, that's that. Thank you for watching.
Rockets on our